Hi, welcome to our review of the CYMA CM.035 AEG Airsoft rifle. Though it's marketed as the CM.035, this bears a striking resemblance to the VFC AKS-74U, and that's the gun it's modeled after. So let's take a look at the box. So when opening up, you've got the instruction manual, nothing really special here. It's fairly well translated, but it's really not that great. Then you have this piece of foam packaging on top with a little bit of warning for a custom-designed spring gun. I don't really know what this is for. It's not for the gun, though, at least for ours. And then this is the barrel cleaning tool it comes with. And then here we have the gun itself. The big selling point here is that it's a full metal body, which is true, as we'll see later. And you can see here that I bought the real wood handguard version. So instead of the plastic grips the normal version comes with, this is real wood here, as we'll examine later in the review. And also, the surprising part about it is it's only $5 more from AirSplat when we bought it. We bought this for about $120 from AirSplat, which we thought was a fantastic deal considering what you get. Also in the box, you get one 350-round high-capacity magazine, trying to model after the AK-74 Bakelite. However, it's not a really good reproduction. Most of the gun looks really good, but this is one of the worst-looking parts. It's got really visible, ugly seam lines on both sides, and it's full plastic, and it's just really not that great of a magazine, but we have a solution which we'll talk about later in the review. And then you have the stock battery, which is 8.4 volts, 1100 milliamp stick-type battery. It works fine for the gun, but if you want top performance, I'd really recommend a 9.6 volt battery, as this has a very large battery compartment, as we'll see. And then over here you get this little cardboard box, in which you will find some unpolished 0.2 gram BBs, which really aren't worth using with a gun of this quality. Then you have a really, very plain, standard-looking AC adapter charger for this gun with a small type mount, so you don't have to buy an adapter, which really isn't that great, but if you don't have any other charger, this is what you're going to be using. And then we have what looks like a wind-up key, but is actually a front sight adjustment tool, which is a nice touch, because having adjustable sights is always a good thing. So let's take all this stuff out of the box and see what we've got. Okay, so we have the gun, the magazine, front sight adjustment tool, battery, tape measure, and a magnet. The reason I had the magnet is because this really is a full metal body. Anything that's metal on the real gun here is metal. And if you run the magnet over, it's very much attracted to everything on the body, right up to the flash suppressor. The only thing here, of course, that isn't metal, the real wood handguards and the plastic hand grip. Just a note on the plastic hand grip: it's one of our least favorite parts of the gun by far, because it just doesn't feel right. It just feels very cheap and very thin. I know it looks nice on the gun and it matches the finish on the metal really well. It just doesn't look great, so it might be worth buying a third-party hand grip, maybe from AKS or a similar company. So just looking at the gun here, with the stock out, we have a length of about 29 inches. And then if we fold the stock, you can fold it right under here and it locks into place. We have a length of a very, very short 19.5 inches, and just for comparison, 19.5 inches, it's not exact, but that's approximately half the length of an M16. So this thing is a really, it's a little gun. It looks somewhat small in the hand, but it really packs a punch. It's very impressive for its size. So moving on to the folding stock we were talking about, the way that it works is when you have it out here, this button here actually is holding down a piece of metal, and when you push hard enough, it just clicks out of place. Now this is nice because it's easy access, you don't have to worry about pushing the button. However, just for example, if I put the gun on my knees here, it can't support its own weight with the stock. It's going to collapse, just that weight from the gun. So you may view that as sort of a minus or a plus, but really when you're shouldering the gun, you don't really have too much to worry about in terms of it collapsing itself. If you flip the gun over here, you can see this little stud here on a spring, which just flips back and forth. And when you go in to fold the stock, it's just going to click down. And when you want to unfold the stock, we recommend doing this simple procedure to avoid wearing down the part of the stock that attaches here. If you just push the toggle in, the stock will pop out a little bit and you go back in. So as I said, the body of the gun is full metal. Back here the stock is hollow, but it still feels very solid. It's only got about a millimeter of wiggle from side to side, none up and down. And it feels good. It's good to shoulder. And it also attached to the stock is this metal sling mount, which pairs with the sling mount that's up here. Both sling mounts feel very solid, and we wouldn't have any reservations about attaching a stock to this gun. It also functions very well with the stock. The one snare you run into is when you try to fold it, the magazine, the rear sling mount actually switches sides of the gun, so that could sort of create some problems. So on this side of the gun here, we have the toggle for the folding stock, and over here this piece of metal here, which is a screw attached mount. Now, a lot of AK-47 variants in the airsoft world, even the classic Army bodies, they don't have this mount, so what you have to do is drill a hole in the body, take the gearbox out, make sure the holes are right, and that can be sort of a pain. But here, it's a very solid piece of metal, just like everything else in the gun, and it's a real mount. It's like the ICS mount. It's similar in quality. So you can go and buy a real AK-47 or 74 mount and attach it right on here and have any optics you want on top. Other than that, we have the front sling mount over here and the rear hand grips. Flipping the gun over, we have the charging handle, which feels very solid. We wouldn't really have a problem playing it smack forward, although we wouldn't recommend doing that too much because there's always a chance that something will break. The metal used on this body feels very solid, but you really never know, how zinc or whatever they put in here to make it cheaper to make, because this is a $120 gun. So even though it looks really nice, you want to be sort of careful with it. Then we have the fire adjustment. Piece of metal here, slides down very securely into place. It's got a nice click. If you're actually, I know it sounds kind of strange, but if you're pulling out a little bit, maybe in a firefight, you can sort of scan over one of the selections. So just be careful of that. Also, if you push hard enough, you can actually go past the lower mode semi-automatic. So just something to think about. Metal trigger, plastic handguard. Moving up to the sights. The sights are traditional AK-74 types. You've got a notch sight up in the front here, and you've got the post up here, and you've got the notch back here. The notch is actually designed with two settings so that you can have a long and a short range, which really doesn't apply much to airsoft, but it's worth mentioning. You have a short and a long range. There's lettering on each one. Of course, it's not in English. For us, it was actually installed backwards. The pin, they just put it in and set the pin wrong. But it doesn't really matter because either sight is really about the same for airsoft purposes. The front sight, as we said, is a post. If you want to adjust it, you just put the key over and you turn it, and it'll slowly go up or slowly go down depending on what you need. I don't think it really needs too much adjustment on the box. And up at the front, we have what's called the Krinkov flash hider. It's sort of the iconic AK-74 flash hider. This orange bit on the front is not enamel, it's not paint, it's two pieces of plastic super glued around here. Under here is full metal, the same color as the rest of the flash suppressor. So we're not going to recommend this, but if you want to take it off, you could get a good pair of pliers and just pry the two pieces apart without damaging the actual flash hider itself. If you want to install a third-party flash hider, all you need to do is go under here and look for the small Allen key. It's a 1.5 millimeter or 2 millimeter, I can't remember right now. And all you do is you take your Allen, your hex wrench, and you just take it out. And it's a little bit tricky because of the way that the hex screw is set in there. But eventually it'll come out. It comes pre-installed in the gun. Ours is a little rusted, but it wasn't a big deal once we got the correct size key. Once you take it out, you can go down to here and press down this button. And once you've pressed the button, you can begin to unscrew it. Counterclockwise threading. It just comes off, albeit a little bit slowly. And once you get it off, you're going to see that this is one solid piece of metal, which is really nice to see on a mid-priced AEG. And that the barrel, which is brass, the barrel's not great, but it does the job unless you're really looking to upgrade it. The barrel's extending a little bit past, so that gives it. This gun obviously has somewhat of a short barrel, but that little bit of extra length there is nice. We actually don't have a counterclockwise threaded suppressor to show you right here, but these threads are fine. The 14 millimeter, pretty standard stuff. So it really shouldn't be a problem if you want to mount something on there. And I know there are a lot of AK purists who think that you really shouldn't try to mount anything on there, but if you want to, the option is always available. So the wood hand grips. The wood is good. It's fine. It's reasonable quality, and it does the job for an airsoft gun. The only problem is it seems to be part of the processing of the handguards. But if you look down here in this little detail, you can see there's a little bit of slop in the handguard. parts, which we'll talk about in the next part of the review. So check out part 2 for the next section of the review.